Hi, my name is Jordan, and today I'm going to be discussing high school students and their lack of knowledge from sex ed on STDs. Now, when you normally walk through high school, you wouldn't think much of it, but most students don't know what an STD is or how it can be contracted. According to Planned Parenthood, an STD can be transmitted from one person either through vaginal, oral, or anal sex. If you feel that you have an STD, then it should be taken under acute consideration to go get checked by your physician if you do have one. Being watchful and protecting yourself can help prevent you from contracting an STD, keeping your body healthy, and especially you happy. This can also prevent your partner from catching an STD and keeping both of y'all happy and healthy. Now, there are many types of STDs. There are some kinds that are curable, like there's gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomoniasis, syphilis, pubic lice. Pubic lice is also known as crabs, and scabies. But there are also type that can be put away and the body can get rid of them on its own. Those include molluscum contagiosum, HPV, hepatitis A, acute hepatitis B, and acute hepatitis C. But unlikely, there are also STDs that are permanent and incurable, such as AIDS, HIV, oral and genital herpes, chronic hepatitis B, and HPV. Jacob Anderson Minshall stated on HIV plus Meg that 25% of Americans have an incurable STD. Out of the 327.16 million people, that's 81,790,000 people that have an incurable disease, sexually transmitted disease. That's a lot of people. That means if you were in a room filled with 100 people, 25 of them would have an STD that is incurable, along with 2.5 out of every 10 as well. That's enough people to populate all of California, Texas, Pennsylvania, and 85% of Wyoming, too. Many school districts have been teaching students about sexual education early, starting from 5th grade all the way to 8th grade. But they stop and discontinue once they get to high school. And it's affecting their lives after high school as well. How many of y'all can say that y'all have received sex ed all the way up until graduating high school and going on into the real world from your school administration or school district? Not many people can. While only 58% of school districts in Texas taught abstinence-only programs. That's down from the 94% that was 10 years ago in 2008. And school districts that adopted an approach known in education circles as Abstinent Plus, which is still encouraging abstinence, but only discusses accurate information on other pregnancy prevention methods and sexually transmitted diseases. But it rose from 3.6% to 16.6%. That is not a lot. That is not a lot. The CDC also found that 38% of high school students and 14% of middle school students actually do receive sex ed classes that actually cover the up to 19 topics that the CDC considers important. That's a low percentage of students that receive accurate knowledge of different STDs and how to prevent them. Most students don't learn about them until they actually contract one themselves. Think back to the 38%. This means that 62% of high school students and 86% of middle school students don't receive this much information on STDs that they should. That's 62% of recent high school grads walking out into the real world not educated on how to avoid and prevent STDs. How would you feel about your child not being educated on this type of stuff? According to Advocates of Youth, 56% of teens have discussed HIV and AIDS only with their parents, while 50% of teens have discussed only STDs with their parents. 70% of teens feel too embarrassed or worried or shy to talk to their parents about this kind of stuff when they need to. It helps them. It helps their future. Parents make these teens feel so scared to come forward and learn about these specific public health issues. It's highly important because they do not receive this from their schools. It's sadly something that should be approved throughout states, in countrywide. They need to learn about STDs, the incurable and curable ones. It prevents them from being oblivious to what is going on with their bodies and understanding or having knowledge of how to get treatment for it. According to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, people living with HIV whose virus is completely durably suppressed by treatment will not sexually transmit the virus to someone who does not have HIV. Students are not taught this. They're not taught that there are medications to prevent them from contracting it, or suppressants to prevent passing it on to another person. They're taught only about condoms and different birth controls to prevent them from making mistakes. What schools and parents call mistakes, but they're not being properly educated. They are educated on the fact that you can still contract STDs even with condoms, especially if a condom is reused. They're not taught that they can get an STD even if they are on birth control, or no matter what type of sex they perform. In most of the country, fewer than half of high school students and only 1/5 of middle school students have received education on all 16 sexual health education topics recommended by the U.S. CDC and prevention. MedicineNet also quoted from Dr. Jonathan Merman, director of CDC's National Center for HIV/AIDS, Viral Hepatitis, STD, and Tuberculosis Prevention, that we need to do a better job of giving our young people the skills and knowledge they need to protect their health. It's important to teach these students about healthy relationships and how to reduce sexual risk before they start having sex. It's necessary so that they can go out into the world with the knowledge. If someone from the CDC is saying this, we need to do something about it. In conclusion, STDs are everywhere, and high school students are left unaware from the lack of sex education more often as the years go by. They do not understand what to do or what is going on with their bodies when it happens to them because they are not educated by their parents or their school districts. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.